This weekend, we are invited to put our faith into action. Faith into action. The opening lines of the gospel and that of the first reading talk about faith. What follows is how we can put faith into action. In the gospel, Jesus came to the coast of Caesarea Philippi and wanted to know from the disciples who people thought he was. They gave to Jesus the opinion of the people. But in order to evoke faith in them, faith as they believe in what God has revealed, Jesus made it personal. What about you? Who do you say I am? On behalf of the disciples, Peter spoke out. You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. That is what God reveals. And faith is the belief in what he has revealed. Because the one who reveals it, God, cannot deceive, nor be deceived. A similar scenario is also evoked in the first reading when the prophet Isaiah talked about opening the ear to the Lord. And we all know from the scripture that faith comes through hearing. That is why I thank our catechists who all the time begin to instruct our children so they can hear and then receive what the Lord has said and have faith. But then the following lines in the gospel and also in the first reading talk about what that faith does after we have it. Jesus said, the Son of Man must suffer greatly and be rejected by the elders. He will be put to death, but he will rise. He goes on to say, anyone that wants to come after me, if he does not deny himself, take up his cross every single day and follow me, he cannot be my disciple. What does that mean? It means that we have to put our faith into practice. We have to put it into works. Similarly, in the first reading, the prophet Isaiah also talks about how he has not shielded his face from buffeting and from insult, indicating that when we are people of faith, there are going to be some trying moment. Illness in the family, tough times with finances, difficulties of bad health, or disappointment with relationships. Jesus never said that once we follow him that it is going to be a bed of roses. That is not what he said. Rather, he said, in the world you are going to see tribulations, but rejoice because I have overcome the world. Faith gives us the courage to face the difficulties and the disappointments of life without losing hope. Then one may say, well, if faith is still going to dispose you or expose you to difficulties, then I don't want to have faith. So what is the difference? People who have faith, they suffer with hope, and their faith can make their suffering to be a redemptive suffering. Somebody who is struggling with cancer or difficult disappointments of life, rather than just wasting it away, we can unite all that suffering with the suffering of Jesus as a prayer for someone in your family, someone in your relationship, our country, and in our world. Our faith gives us the vision to look at these temporal things with the spectacle of eternity, that even when it is so tough, we are not alone. The first reading says, God is always with us. That is what faith does. St. James summarizes what faith is in contrast to just works, or work is in contrast to all faith. It does not have to be one or the other. So he says, if you say you have faith and you cannot express your faith in good works, then one can say, here is my work. How do you demonstrate your faith? And so St. James in the second reading submits to each one of us that any faith that does not have good works, that faith is dead. That is why this Sunday is an invitation for us to put our faith into action exercise patience, prayerful Christians, steadfast in love, forgiving, never giving up in tough times and in bad times. And especially we're going to need it into this world with the difficulties of what we have experienced in our church. Rightfully, most of the things happened 50 years ago before a lot of people here were born, but they're being hushed over as though they just happened again. And it's going to be a tough time to be a Catholic priest. It's going to be a tough time to be a Catholic Christian because people are going to call you to task. And so many people have already said, well, I don't want to put my money into that. I don't want to get into that. But guess what? A few bad eggs. But over 2,000 years, and Jesus made this promise to the apostles, I will build my church, which is recorded in the same story as the one in St. Mark. But St. Matthew says, upon you, Peter, I will build my church. That church has done so many good things in the world, in third world countries, in civilized countries, for humanity all over the world. But there are a few bad eggs, and we cannot allow a few bad eggs to destroy what the church has done. It's going to be a challenging time for you because people are going to ask you questions. They're going to ask me questions. This is the time for us not to shield our face from buffeting and insult and spitting, but that stand firm and demonstrate our faith by consistency and by good works. Interestingly, this weekend as we come to worship the Lord, right after this Mass, we are going to have what we call ministry fair. What is that about? You're going to see some people setting up tables out there across the road. Ministry fair is that thing that we do once a year. We give people the opportunity to say, yes, I have come to the church. Like the first reading, I have heard what the Lord said. Like in Jesus and the disciples, I've expressed my faith in the creed, in the singing, in the prayer. But that is not enough. I've got to demonstrate it through good works. Because if that faith does not have good works, it is a dead faith. And that is the reason ministry fair gives me an opportunity to say, I can have 100 hours in this coming year. If I don't have 100 hours, maybe 1 hour to serve as an altar server, like we say, or to do the reading. It is only done in English, or to sing in the choir, or be in Knights of Columbus, or do anything. If I don't have 100 hours, just 1 hour this year. I'm going to join one ministry. I'm going to be a support team for them. If I can't go there every day, I'm going to put down my name and say, when you need me, call me. Just 1 hour a year. I can do that for the Lord. Because the faith that does not have good works is a dead faith. And 7 years ago, when I came here, I told you I was going to be making giving you a report card of how you have put your faith in good works here in St. Patrick Church. We do that right after every Labor Day. And I put it in the bulletin last week, and I told you I was going to talk about it this week. I'm going to be brief about it because you've already seen it in the bulletin. Let me begin with the finances. This past year, ending in July, or in June, that is when our fiscal year ends. It begins July 1st, ends in June 30th. We made a budget of $952,982, approximately, maybe about $1 million. And the actual that we received, thanks to your generosity, was $915,934. Just a little below 1,000. What we call ordinary income was $500 and something dollars, or $500 and something thousand dollars, but the rest of the additions, other things that we do and contributions, made it up to $900,000. We managed it very well. If you look at our budgets every weekend in the bulletin, the estimate to help us break even is about $13,000. But thanks to our staff, thanks to all of you who have been involved in different ministries, we did not waste money or buy things we did not need. Fiscal responsibility, at the end, we ended with about $57,000 in the black that we put to use for all other things that we need here in the parish. And when you look at what we have done with those, they include salaries and benefits, building and grounds, parish administration and cost, parish hall feasibility study. That one was donated by one of our parishioners. I'm going to talk about it very briefly. Montini School, we subsidize for Montini. We subsidize for Marian. We also give other subsidies to the Observer and the Diocese, many parish events, cemetery, special collections, corporal works of mercy, which we're going to do also today, right at the end of this Mass. We use that to help all our brothers and sisters who may be in need. Because if we only have faith, St. James says, and we say to someone, go, feed well and clothe well, but we don't help them with the necessities of life, that is not a good faith. Thanks to your generosity, we have reached out to so many people and helped them here in our neighborhood. We help the religious education, youth ministry, prayer garden, and just name them. And after we did all that, we're still left with a balance of $57,000. Thank you. Thank you. This coming year, we make a projection of $906,000, and we want to do the fiscal responsibility again, and we are expecting that we shall have maybe $25,000 over that we can spend in things that we need in our community. Very briefly, we're going to be doing we're doing feasibility studies right now. What that means is that some of you may have been called to say, how do you see the parish? That will help us to determine what has happened in the past 7 years and how we can move forward in other things, especially maybe something like a hall. We have a good problem. What do I call a good problem? In other parishes, when people are talking about not having members, not having people to do things, here, our offices and rooms are all filled up in the evenings. And that is why we put a canopy out there. Sometimes people use it, but we're thinking, if the Lord will bless us, can we have a hall that we can use so that different ministries and our youth ministries, if you notice, we're having more children coming to the church. Thanks be to the Lord. In a few years, they're going to need a space for youth ministry. Will this be a good time to plan to make that possible? One of our parishioners generously said, whatever it's going to cost to do the feasibility study, I pay it so that the parish does not have to pay. And then that will help us to determine whether we can move forward or not. Please, if you have been called, be a part of it. Some people have already been a part of it, either through the interview or through filling in the forms. I want to thank you. For those who may not understand, ask questions, talk to our staff, talk to me, so that you may have and make an informed decision. But it's not just about money. I wanted to start with that, because if you want to know what a person loves, it is through time and treasure. There are people who love different sports. They spend so much time watching it on the television and following them, and also spend their money buying their paraphernalia like hats and all that. You know what a person loves through time, through treasure. If I really love God, it has to show in how much time I spend with Him, and my pocketbook has to show that I really love Him. If I can't prove from those 2 points, it's difficult to prove it, because faith comes with good works. But other areas, prayers and participation, we have 1,002 families registered here. 760 come to Mass regularly. 760. We still need more to encourage people so they can come to Mass. When you love the Lord, you spend time with Him. The beginning is at the Mass. 55 new families registered in our parish in just the past year. When you hear people saying, well, the Catholic Church is dying, not here. Thank you. And when I talk to people who come, I say, tell me about your experience. This is what I hear. Father, the first time I came, they were so warm, they were so welcoming, they were so, just name it. And I cannot thank you enough. Especially our ushers who stand there shaking hands and welcoming people and doing all the good things. Maybe they smile, maybe telling someone, I'm going to keep you in my prayers. 55 new families registered here in just the past year. We had 6 marriages. We want to have more marriages. 23 funerals. I want that one to go down. 66 students in Montini. 135 children in religious education. 95 children in VBS. 35 active youth. 40 liturgical choirs. 100 participants at adult Bible class. 120 participants in that God is You retreat. 46 ministries are present here in our parish. Thanks to you. And we've supported so many social events, as you have seen. And then we live out our faith. 124 parishioners serve as liturgical ministers, 66 youth and altar servers, nearly 70 parishioners contribute their talent in singing in the church, in the choir. 25 compassionate care ministers who, when someone is unable to come to Jesus, they take Jesus to them in the home or in the hospitals. 55 Knights of Columbus who do great work here to support our parish and our children. Over 160 people are being prayed for every single day here in the church. We are involved in the community outreach through Knights of Columbus, Good Drive, Knights of Columbus Holiday Meals, Heritage Woods, Fish, School Supply, Pads, Feed My Starving Children, St. Vincent de Paul, Fish, Pads, Knights of Columbus, Rotary Club, Home of the Sparrow, Pioneer Center in McHenry, St. Colette, Illinois, the Kiwanis Club, Northern Illinois Hospice, St. Jude, American Cancer Society, Ima Bridge Africa, Legion of Mary, and much, much more. I wanted to use this opportunity to thank you, our parishioners, for what I have experienced here in these past 7 years since I came, how you have put your faith into good works. We still have more opportunity to do it this coming year, and I trust you. And I believe in God, but I also believe in you that as we have done before, we will do it again. Because if faith has no good works, it is dead. But together we will put our faith and make it alive by putting it into good works of service to the Lord and serving those the Lord has put in our lives. Thank you.